So I've now owned my Subaru Crosstrek 2014 for 2 years and 30,000 miles, and I thought I'd do a recap and give you some pluses and minuses on the car and let you know whether or not I would consider buying one again. Now, the answer to that question is no. If I was going to buy another car, I would not buy a Subaru Crosstrek. However, it's not to say that it's not a good car. There are some things that have been really good about this car over the time that I've owned it. It has some real pluses, but there are some definite minuses that go along with that as well. Now, just to give you some idea of some of the good things about the car and the reasons I bought it, I really like the style and kind of the rugged look of the Crosstrek, as well as the practicality of this car. I've managed to get over 30 miles per gallon average between city and highway driving over the life of the car during those 30,000 miles. And it's got clearance to be able to do some moderate off-roading and drive through pretty deep snow. I've got several videos on my channel that actually show some of that capability, and it's been surprisingly capable. Now, it's not to say that it's a real true SUV, but it can, do a lot of what most SUV owners will actually do with their car. Now, here's one of the first things that I want to point out as a negative on this car. You can see a little bit of discoloration on the plastic along the bottom of the car here. That is actually due to sunscreen. So I'm not too impressed that sunscreen on my legs rubbing against the car would actually stain the exterior surface of the car. Now, unfortunately, there's also some stain inside the interior from sunscreen. That's a little more understandable, but still slightly disappointing. Now, on the inside of the car, one of the things I liked about the car is I thought it had a pretty nice level of refinement, particularly for a Subaru. And I've been fairly pleased with that, with the exception of some of that discoloration that I've gotten in a few locations. Now, you'll also see it's not the most durable surface. So here we've got a little scratch on the side. I think that was from a fingernail or maybe a ring rubbing against that. Got a little damage right here from some skis rubbing on the armrest. And I wouldn't say that I've abused this car that much. It's definitely been used for utility purposes, and I expect to have a little bit of wear and tear. So it's nothing too crazy on that, but definitely a little bit surprising at the wear of the materials. Now, one of my other main gripes in the car has been the speaker system, which I've got a video on my channel showing the replacement of that. The stock system in the Subaru Crosstrek is garbage. It was actually painful to listen to if you had it at any sort of high volume. I replaced it with a kicker system and definitely improved the sound quality. Didn't turn it into an amazing system, but it made it fairly decent. The Crosstrek is fairly underpowered. Now, again, I mentioned I get about 31 miles per gallon average between city and highway. On highway driving, you get up to about 34. City, you get high 20s. And so, you're getting good gas mileage. However, the acceleration in this car is really quite pathetic. And not just the fact that it's slow accelerating, but the lack of refinement when you're accelerating. It's really rough. There's a delay, and it's also inconsistent. Sometimes I feel like I accelerate and accelerates fairly well. Other times I'll accelerate and it just seems like there's no power at all. And so it can be very frustrating. The Crosstrek, I've been very impressed with the handling. It is good in the snow. It has obviously Subarus have a good reputation for that because they're all-wheel drive. I've owned several Audis, and those are great in the snow as well. And I'd say that this was fairly comparable to those. So I was pleased with the handling overall on the Crosstrek. The steering is also very nice. It's got a nice smooth feel to it, and very tight, not a lot of play in the steering wheel. Now, over the time that I've owned the Subaru, I've done regular oil changes myself. It's incredibly easy to change the oil on this car. It really takes about 15 or 20 minutes. I've had no other problems with the car, so mechanically it's been really good. The only thing that I've had to take it in for repair on was this plastic strip right along the bottom here. It just kind of came off of the edge of the car. Other than that, I've had no problems. It's been flawless, and so I've been pleased with that. But again, it only has 30,000 miles, so in my opinion, that's not really a true test of the reliability of the car long term. However, I know Subarus have a great reputation for that, so for me, that was one of the real pluses. As I mentioned, I would probably not buy another one of these again, and for that reason, I've decided that I'm probably going to sell the car. One of the great things about the Subaru, and good reason to buy these if you don't care about acceleration and refinement, if you're really just looking for good, reliable transportation from point A to point B, this car will do it. And you're gonna have really low resale value, which is nice, or really high resale value, I'm sorry. I'm looking at only about $2,000 loss on the car from the day that I bought it. Part of that's because I found a pretty good deal on it, but to be able to get 30,000 miles out of the car and 2 years of use for a cost of only $2,000 is pretty good. I'm pleased with that. So anyway, that's kind of an overview of the Subaru Crosstrek. If you have other questions, leave them in the comments below and I can try to answer those.